One, two, three. All right. One of my favorite things about film, and I'm sure most of you can agree on this, is the way certain films have the ability to evoke such specific, like minute emotions. You can't even put into words how they make you feel. You just kind of like feel things. You just feel things, you know? You just feel them. No words, just feelings. A movie I've seen at least 7 times that does this specific thing to me is none other than Lost in Translation, directed by Sofia Coppola. Just looking at stills of this movie, I'm filled with a sense of longing. For what? I guess it's something I still have to decide. Just to give a quick rundown of the movie, Scarlett Johansson's character, Charlotte, is visiting Tokyo with her celebrity photographer husband. He basically leaves her to her own devices as he goes out on gigs, sometimes leaving her alone for days at a time. It's during these moments of solitude that she realizes maybe he's not the man I would have hoped to have married at the end of the day. She feels alienated. Enter the great Bill Murray. Bob Harris. Let's keep it straight here. That's his character's name, Bob Harris. But in all of our hearts, it's definitely Bill Murray. At least in my heart. He's our middle-aged movie star, older friend. He's also on his own in Tokyo shooting a whiskey commercial that he's getting paid $2 million to do. But, he's also using this trip as an excuse to, get away from his wife or something. And also happens to forget his own son's birthday. So, he's a flawed man. He is. But I'm specifically going to be talking about Charlotte and the way she managed to almost build a sense of self in her solitude. But Bob's character, he is also feeling a sense of alienation here. He's an American celebrity in a foreign land, and he's being pulled left and right in different directions for this whiskey shoot. He and Charlotte, they're staying at the same hotel, and they pass by each other multiple times. They're both obviously not Japanese, so there's that kind of sense of familiarity. So after a few times passing by, they meet. They kind of have an instant connection right off bat, which I live for those moments in life when you just kind of spontaneously meet someone and it's just platonic fireworks, if you will. He brings her a sense of maturity and wisdom, while she brings him a sense of youth and spontaneity. Something important to mention about Charlotte, going back to her and her relationship with her husband, is that she's a recent college graduate and she's already married. This is just my personal take on things, but I feel like everyone should have at least a few years to themselves to kind of be their own human being. Point is, she's barely lived a life of her own. And when it comes to dealing with certain issues with her husband, I appreciate the fact that she goes out there and experiences stuff and gets out of her head instead of staying in her hotel room and just kind of sobbing all day, which of course that's fine to do. It's always great to just let out a good cry and releasing those emotions, But I think part of growing up, says me, someone who's obviously so old and wise and knows everything about life. Something that I think is an important part of growing up is letting things happen as they happen and just kind of focus on yourself rather than trying to control every situation you've been dealt. No, part of me wanted to see some sort of confrontation between Charlotte and her husband, John, I believe was his name. At least to see her communicate those emotions towards him. But then I thought about it and I was the way they wrote his character is just a bit too surface level and vapid, I guess, that if they did have some sort of fight, I feel it wouldn't be fulfilling because we hadn't had that character development on his part. So we would have just ended up at square one, aka it's probably a good thing that they didn't include some sort of confrontation between the two. One of my favorite scenes of any movie ever is in this movie, where she just kind of takes a day to just be. She quietly explores Tokyo and its culture, just kind of soaking in her surroundings and just kind of being one with everything around her. Even if she sticks out like a sore thumb, which she does as a complete foreigner. One part within that scene that I really kind of appreciated was when she entered this sacred temple with monks praying. And later she goes on to tell her friend how she didn't feel anything when she saw these monks praying. Like, usually when you're in the presence of something as spiritual as that, you would feel something, within yourself, even if you don't belong or pertain to that specific religion. You might feel something given that situation, and she said she didn't. I think this is an interesting look into how Charlotte's character digests her surroundings and how she's sensitive to them. I genuinely think an important part of self-discovery is being present and in the moment and not staying stuck in your head and in your thoughts. Another great scene that has a similar effect on me is when Bob and Charlotte go out and kind of explore Tokyo's nightlife together, along with Charlotte's Japanese friends. There's a certain naivete when it comes to just kind of like having fun and going out. It's raw and like human. And not in the way where you're trying to like escape your reality, which that is very common and that happens more often than we think. But in a way where it's like, let's just kind of enjoy our surroundings and the people around us and this experience, in that kind of way. Something that makes this movie feel so warm is the word I attached to it, is the fact that the screenplay was actually pretty sparse. So there wasn't like 100% direction and like everything was written down in the screenplay followed to a T. There was a lot of improvisation allowed, especially on Bill Murray's part. Not to mention, a lot of the film was done guerrilla style, which means that they just didn't have a permit to shoot. So a lot of the cameos are just genuine, like, passerbys, is that the word? Genuine, just native Japanese people going about their day, and they just happen to get caught in this movie. A lot of the filming took place late at night, especially in the scenes at the hotel, like between the hours of 1 and 2 a.m. So there's that like kind of moody vibe to those scenes, which I think that just adds a lot of flavor to the movie. Say what you want. Some people think like having looser guidelines like that can be a shortcoming, but I think it just adds to the heart of the movie overall. So, to conclude, I think maturing is realizing that not every movie has to be perfect, plot telling and plot development and like character development and crazy visuals and all this stuff to be a banger or like a 10 out of 10. Like, you can like a movie because like of the vibes. Like, let's just call it out how it is. It's a lot of why I enjoy movies because of the vibes that these movies create. Even if, a movie is kind of slow, or if like a lot of the characters aren't fully explored, or if there's like plot holes and stuff, I could give up. But let me calm down. At the end of the day, vibes just rule us all, and we should just give into that, Let's stop being so pretentious and just give into the vibes. That's what I say. But yeah, on a real note, this is one of my favorite films of all time, mainly because of how it makes me feel inside. And that's it. There's an air to the movie that I just resonate with. I see myself in this movie in a lot of ways. And I've been able to discover more about myself through Lost in Translation. I hope you can do the same, honestly. That's it. I hope you enjoyed.